People who, in many instances, have absolutely no clue what they are doing. The Marxists, the anarchists, the looters, the agitators.
Nice. It's Inane Blather. Episode 117. The most apolitical, centrist, middle-of-the-road, milquetoast podcast you'll ever hear.
Oh, yeah.
Is there an election going on? I don't know.
Never heard of it.
Something's going on. Yeah.
I said never heard of it.
Oh, yeah. I said never heard of it. But, it's just, there might be an election going on. All we know is that
capitalism is bad.
And
mental illness is when you're right wing.
So just really boring stuff that everyone agrees on, things like
drugs are fun.
And
Natalie hates non-binary people.
Of course. Wow, that's been a while.
But you know what? At the end of the day,
this is politics.
Nice. We got the whole soundboard up and running.
Well, yeah, just because with the timing of everything, we're not really going to talk too much about the election. We'll get back to it once we know more. Today we'll just have a little bit more fun, which probably means we'll just fall down some rabbit hole of really negative stuff.
I'm reading right now.
Before we pressed record.
I'm reading the comment section on the New York Post, a Piers Morgan article about trans people. So it's not even trans people. They think it is, but
yeah.
I'm just an ordinary blue-collar slob, but I know what I likes on TV.
And what I likes is
headstrong, stubborn, quibbling, self-centered, vindictive, obnoxious, hormonal, sexually preoccupied, evil, thieving, cross-dressing jerks.
I don't know how well that worked, but anyway.
It worked.
Speaking of
capitalism is bad.
And
socialism is when no car.
I found something interesting here. I've really been enjoying trying to find different things in the local paper.
Nice.
And I thought you might like this. I found this in the Tri-City Herald Letters to the Editor. It's real quick, but it kind of, it's halfway true. It talks about bike lanes here in the Tri-Cities, Washington, a very sprawling, really stricken with urban sprawl with the quick growth that this area has gained over the past 20 years.
Quick and sustained growth. During the housing market crash of 2008, almost affected, not at all. One of the best markets in the entire country. It's grown quick, and it's just keeps growing and keeps growing long. The tallest building there is the hospital, and it's like 6 stories.
Yeah, exactly. Just keeps growing outward and outward. It's so hard to be to walk here. It's not a walkable city, not any of the 3 Tri-Cities. Public transit's not great. But bicycling is, more and more common around here. We get 300 days of sunshine, and they've been putting in more bike lanes. Near where I live, they redid an entire long stretch of city street, put in dedicated bike lanes all the way through, eliminated entire car lanes to put in these bike lanes, repaved a bunch of stuff, and and I discovered, as they were finishing up some of these major bike lane projects, someone had written a letter to the editor of the local paper. See all the bike paths around the Tri-Cities? That's socialism coming for us all. Jose Antonio Vieira Gallo, a Chilean politician, said, quote, socialism can only arrive by bicycle. Who can forget the images of bicycle-riding North Vietnamese communist soldiers coursing down the Ho Chi Minh Trail to, quote, liberate the democratic South? Few remember the tyrannical World War II Japanese riding on bicycles into Malaya and Sumatra, wresting control from their European colonizers. On bicycles! The point is, I'm concerned about the proliferation of bicycle paths and lanes in the Tri-Cities area and what this may all foretell. Who is responsible for this vision for our community? Wellesian Way was a 4-lane road. Now it's 1 lane each way, a center turning lane, and communist bicycle lanes down each side. Do I ever see a cyclist on these lanes when I drive down Wellesian in the new resulting traffic congestion? You're more likely to see a moose than a cyclist in this town. Side note, that's not true. Although
because there's not any bike lanes, you idiot.
Yeah.
There have to be bike lanes to do it safely.
Yeah. I mean, we do need more bicyclists, but more and more people do bicycle around here, that's for sure. I have to go around them a lot, especially slightly outside of town.
I feel like that's brave. I don't feel like I would feel safe at all in the Tri-Cities, like almost anywhere
exactly.
bicycling. It's
because
like
of people
very,
like these.
very car friendly and very, very big truck friendly. A lot of big pickup trucks. I have a friend
who started riding his bike to work every day on Clearwater and started losing weight, started saving money.
Nice.
Got hit by a car on his bike and just got clipped by someone's mirror and didn't go back. He's like, I can't do it. He's like, I'm terrified now.
Oh my! I saw someone almost get hit the other day in Seattle here. I feel like bikers here are... I was just thinking that, like, here in Seattle, it's very different. You know, there's a lot of people walk. Umberto and I were just talking about that. People are, like, fitter because of it. You just, like, walk everywhere. There's a lot of hills, bicyclists. And it makes you really bold as a cyclist and a pedestrian. Like, you really... Like, I can get why in New York people are, like, smacking their hands on cars and stuff. And
literally,
like, get the fuck out of my way.
Here.
Like, I'm walking here, you stay back, and you have all these rights. And cyclists, when I've seen it, they stay pretty chill. Like, I saw someone turning, and the cyclist is, like, coming up and being like, all right, like, I'm right here. And the person just, like, did not even see them or didn't even look or anything. Oof. Obviously, people do get hit and, you know, sometimes, like, killed by it. But I feel like... in the Tri-Cities, there's just like so many fewer opportunities for people to interact with cyclists and pedestrians and things like that. Cars are not looking out for them at all. And I feel like you're very afraid, like, as a pedestrian or a cyclist because of that, and like hesitant and like, I don't know, or like it is I would be very scared
some
to do that in
people's
Clearwater.
views on cyclists. Like, I have been in some long, drawn-out arguments on X, the Everything app, with people who literally think, like, yeah, no, if you don't get out of my way, I have every right to literally run you off the road. You might as well die. I will run you over. If you ride a bicycle, you're annoying, you're in my way. Like, they feel no qualms about it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It is crazy.
Bicycles,
like,
and you know why? Because as this very astute writer notes, bicycles are tools of commies and socialists.
That is so funny.
These paths and lanes are for only one thing: to usher in their left-wing, green energy, fossil fuel-hating, automobile-loathing, bird-killing wind farm, solar power-loving agenda. The enemy is at the gates, wearing cycling shorts and armed with the Communist Manifesto.
That is so
what's funny,
incredibly funny. That like has to be a satire. Or
that's the thing. It's really hard to tell. It's almost kind of, you know, what is that, Poe's Law or whatever it is on the internet. There's a few, this is from September, these letters to the editor that I was reading. And there's a few in here that are just, that one's, you know, at least funny, you know. And it's like, God, is this satire? It's like, but I don't know. It's unrelenting, you know. And then a few more of these, it's like, you know that they're not satire. These people are that dumb. One person Pasco readers' political choices. I see 3 politicians that feel strongly about God and our country. The first is Donald Trump. He always talks about God in his speeches. Next is Jared Sessler. He prays for this country and its people, talking about how the third is RFK. And then someone else
Oh my God.
like complaining about homeless people camping in the public parks, and then oh my God, and saying, why don't we, since obviously they're not enforcing the rules about no overnight camping in the parks, how about we all get our RVs and trailers and have a huge camp out party and dump all of our trash over there? We don't have to pay for it. Let's take our town back. And
what a cool
just
attitude. You have like a home and an RV. You piece of shit. How about you give your RV to one of those people that are homeless?
Exactly.
God.
But, so what
instead
was
of rub
nice,
it in their face.
And what was interesting is that there's a comment section in the Tri-City Herald under the letters to the editor. And there's a lot of pushback to these people.
Nice.
Someone saying, the only time I ever saw Donald Trump in church was when another president died. And someone else, let's see. Trump may feel strongly about a God, but it doesn't seem to be the Christian God I was taught to believe in. There's a lot about this whole Trump and God thing. Trump's the Antichrist. Let's see. A disappointing collection of letters today. I thought the socialistic bike paths was sarcasm at first. It's so absurd, but the end really doubled down. Yikes. The lack of empathy for unhoused people in Dave's letter made me ill. And what to say about Kim's worshipful letter about Sessler, Trump, and RFK Jr.? Well, her reality is different from the one I'm living in. But the letter on catnip-based insect repellent was very interesting. Thanks for lightening the mood. Because there's just one random letter that's like, hey, that's kind of nice. They're like, I was reading the thing about natural insect repellent last week, and I wanted to add in my 2 cents about catnip, The other ones are like psychotic ramblings.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that
this
bike
pushback,
one is
it kind of made
hilarious.
me happy that, they like, someone says, hey, Dave, the cool thing about your little tailgate party, after you're done mocking people that are down on their luck and have no place to live, you can drive home and climb into your nice warm bed. It's like, man, it kind of restored my faith a little bit, because what sucks is that these psychos actually get published in the fucking paper. Like, this is in the paper. I mean, who reads the paper? I don't know. But
Dad?
At least, not during the week. He reads the Sunday paper.
Because that's only because they stopped, distributing it. The Tri-City Herald was no longer in their small town, and he was like, that's when I got him. Got him thinking. I'm like, I know, doesn't that suck? That they don't have enough subscriptions, so you can't. So it's like, I was like, yeah, it would be nice if like they didn't have to make money, because don't you think that people like deserve information? Like that this stuff is like the news is something that everybody should have, instead of having to be like, well, there's just like not enough profit incentive for us to keep going to these small towns, so we're just going to cut publication. And it's like, but this is like your local news. Like, why would people have to even pay for that? Don't people deserve to know?
Like it
should be like a not-for-profit sort of situation.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of a publicly funded, like it's very much a utility that's important for, for everyone.
Especially because fuck looking at these articles online. Fuck the Tri-City Herald online. If you don't have an ad blocker or whatever, and I'm like, why would I have to get a subscription to some of these things? It's like...
that's what sucks is I only have these, and I've been enjoying bringing some of this stuff up on the show because I pay for a fucking subscription to this shit. It sucks.
Supporting local journalism. That's a very nice thing to do.
No, it's McClatchy news services.
You're supporting
it's like the
local
journalists. Yeah.
You know
it's
what?
Like the second largest news conglomerate in the United States.
Well, you know what? If you didn't subscribe, Tri-City Herald, what would happen?
Yeah.
Is they'd go...
That's true.
If you didn't subscribe personally,
they would be broke. Yeah, it is on me. They did write me a letter. And they said, thank you, sir.
Now we can spend money on all the ice cream flavors in the store. We're trying all the ice cream flavors, and we're getting overwhelmed. Like that one guy who wrote a letter that was like... in last week's or whatever that was.
Yes,
was like...
that's what I was kind of looking for. I couldn't find another Dear Annie, but another good one anyway. I looked up some other Dear Annie things, but yeah, from the mind that brought you too many ice cream flavors. Mm-hmm. But
communist bicycles.
The very next week, letters to the editor. The top build right here was, that might be the silliest letter to the editor I've ever read in my entire life. It was a response to the bike lane thing.
Man.
And in response to the letter to the editor about communist bicycles, they're right, you know. Just last week and on September 22nd, I saw thousands of communist bicycles ascend from the water and jump on their communist bicycles, tying up intersections and roads for hours before they jumped off their communist bicycles to descend on the parks along the Columbia. Oh, what's that you say? You need to go to Home Depot for your weekend project? No, you don't. The communist bicycles have this intersection blocked. Oh, but what about this alternate route? Well, absolutely not, because at that intersection you can only turn right, and you needed to turn left. Communist bicyclist. Coming to you from the same deluded minds that brought you windmills cause cancer, the earth is flat, and who could forget the 2020 election was stolen. I swear you can't make this stuff up. Or, I guess maybe you can.
Yeah, because they do.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like that is such a funny, like the bicycle one, that's like, man, you really are... privileged or something, or just like very like you can't even conceive of the possibility also that someone would want to bicycle, you know, like that someone would want that for their life just to like, you know, it's like fit, you're like outside, you know, it's you don't have to pay for any gas is very expensive, you know, it's like just like
it's really nice to bicycle around here.
Yeah, it's like flat, you know, there's not a lot of hills or anything. Pretty easy going.
Sunny.
Yeah, sunny most of the year, even in the wintertime. And so you're just like, I mean, like, it...
I forgot to say, though. So
it just really...
It seems like satire, but then it doesn't. But what's nice is that this is the local paper, right? Mm-hmm. So then I look this guy up on Facebook, and I find him. I have a mutual friend with him on Facebook.
Oh.
Actually, someone from our hometown. Yeah. As far as I can tell, I just kind of glanced. I recognized the last name, but he's an older guy. I don't know. It's some friend of a friend, just one mutual friend for whatever reason. And I'm just kind of scrolling through because he does have some public posts. And I'm like, okay, what is... Because I didn't know if I was just going to see all this, like, crazy MAGA stuff or something. And it was really hard to tell. And I was like, so wait a minute, was this satire? And looking through a few, because I'm like, this has to be the guy. Mm-hmm. Like, same full name, because he uses his first, middle, last. And he uses his name with his... It's just how he differentiates himself, is the flow or whatever. And includes his wife's name. Sounded East Asian. There's pictures of him with it, so I know it's him. And I'm looking, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. There's kind of this military worship.
I was gonna say
he's a veteran.
If he has an East Asian wife and he's an older guy, he's a veteran.
Exactly. So I'm like, oh boy, and he's like a veteran and all this stuff. But then I flip just a few back. It's easy to go pretty quickly because you're not friends with the person, so you only see so many posts. Just like 3 years ago, he's so proud of his daughter or stepdaughter or whatever it is.
For transitioning.
Yeah, whatever that thing, whatever she is, for participating in the only local pro-choice march.
Nice.
Here in the Tri-Cities.
Nice.
And I'm like, oh, and looked down a few more and has shared several different pro-choice, abortion rights things. I'm like, wait a minute. And I scroll down further, and he's sharing Robert Reich stuff, The Economist. I'm like, what? Wait a minute. So
people contain multitudes.
Was the satire, or did he go off the deep end? I don't know.
People can have different things.
I heard
I talked to a guy when I was canvassing. He had a MAGA hat on. He was like an older white man. And we had a really good conversation about reproductive rights. And he was totally, he was wearing Make America Great Again hat. And was like, it's totally the woman's choice. Was on board with it, and it was a very pleasant conversation we had. He was super nice, just a retired guy, kind of just trying to keep up with the cost of living there in Seattle and whatever. And just it's very interesting how people can live with sort of that cognitive dissonance of things, and weird, seemingly opposing, and sometimes not just seemingly, it's opposing ideas where you could be pro-choice and have these sort of, or anti-capitalist values or whatever, but then also be some deranged anti-communist bike hater, and Donald Trump lover, where it's I don't get you.
The abortion thing caught my attention, but it was the Robert Reich thing that I was like, what? How could you be listening to Robert Reich and then be like, bikes are communist, or something? I was like, maybe it's satire, because it's pretty nuts. But it's and if it's satire, though, it's man, it's too much, man. Look at the letters below you that aren't satire. The people around here are crazy.
They're stupid.
There's crazy right-wingers around here. You should see, we're not going to talk about the election all that much in terms of what's going to happen or results, but it's election season just a few days ago, and there's just I just drove to Lowe's the other day, and there's people out on the corner waving Trump flags, and huge, and people are honking their horns. There's oh my God, I've seen so many gigantic pickup trucks with huge Trump flags driving around. And on one hand, I'm just what's the point, guys? Why aren't you locking arms with me and saying, let's abolish the Electoral College, because your vote doesn't fucking matter either. I don't know what you're doing. You're literally
you
just
live in
virtue
Washington
signaling.
State, yeah.
Yeah.
Trump never visited you here because he doesn't give a shit, because he's never going to win this state.
Yeah.
Kamala's never going to visit
matter.
here either, because she knows, obviously, she's not going to. That's what I was talking about with Umberto, too, is I'm so sick of this election, and I'm ready to be over. I was I cannot imagine living in Michigan or Pennsylvania or Ohio or whatever, please kill me. It's just so the amount of money that goes into the ads and all this kind of stuff. Over here, we vote or whatever and all that kind of stuff, but it's we don't get a visit from the potential president. They know who it's going for.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Both been parked in Pennsylvania for a month.
Yeah. They're not going to spend any money here.
But yeah, it's just the people around here. Oh man! But there was even a letter to the editor right underneath this guy responding to the bicycle satire, maybe but complaining that someone is out there taking the Harris yard signs out of people's yards. Yeah. There's they stole 2 from my yard. But in the yard across the street from me, they left the signs for Donald Trump, Jared Sessler, and Pete Serrano. It's criminal and against democracy. In the good old days when I was growing up, you worked hard to own a home. Took price. Shut up, lib. No, I'm just kidding. But it's I don't know why anyone's putting these signs out. I was thinking just the other day when I was out in the old small town, Actually, that was just today. Now that I think about it. But driving past a house outside of the very small town, and of course they have their Trump Vance yard sign out in their yard, right? And I'm just like, why? I mean, so it's like, so I had, it's like I virtue signal with like symbols or whatever. I mean, I have a 3 arrows decal on my car, but it's like that can just be on there all the time. It's not a person. It's an actual virtue to signal. It's something that's like, yeah, it's a symbol of anti-fascism. If you know what it means, you know that if you're fascist, I don't fucking like you. All right? Or if
and
you're
I want you to know that, yeah.
we can talk about it, you know? And it's like, but it's like a Trump sign in Trump country outside of city limits of a small town. What's the point of that? Why? Just to show it off to your neighbors that drive by every once in a while? Just to make yourself feel better? I don't understand it. Just to make sure people know.
There's all kinds
it's
of
literally
Kamala,
just virtue signaling to the smallest degree.
I mean, there's Kamala signs all over Seattle, so, you know. What are you gonna do?
But I mean, and that's like, that's keeping momentum for like to make sure that people vote. It really does feel different out here, like a Trump sign where what? Trump's not going to win Washington. Number one, you're in a red county. All these people are voting Trump. Yeah, it's in a sign for a house that's going to be driven. If people are going to drive past it, maybe there's going to be like 14 cars per day. You know, it's way out on River Road.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, what's the purpose? It's just to show it off. Be like, hey, by the way, in case you're coming by, we like Trump over here.
That's what I feel like so much about Trump stuff is.
So
is
what?
Like in your,
I would assume that.
It's like in your face, like antagonistic, like everything. It's like very bold, like you're part of like this club. I mean, talk about not just River Road.
It's different than
how
like,
about,
hey, remember to vote.
Yeah. How about the gigantic Trump sign out between Pasco and our hometown, like literally out in the middle of fucking nowhere between two trees.
Yes.
It's like 8 feet across, like 4 feet, whatever. Like it's gigantic rectangle sign mounted up right next to the road.
Between 2 trees.
And like legit, like talk about small towns out there. Like what are you talking, Basin City?
It looks like it's at the corner of 2 roads that remind you of like where the guitarist kid went to sell his soul to the devil and oh brother, where art thou?
Literally a cornfield on the other side of it, and on the other side over here it's like a dairy or a cattle run range or whatever. It's like
it's where all the houses are about 3/4 of a mile apart. That's where your nearest neighbor is.
It's really, you can't, I mean, there ain't no shoulder on the road. There's like, it's like out there. And I love that sign because I think about, I wish I would have seen the day that he put it up. Like all the effort that he went through to buy it, to like mount it, to put, I'm sure he's got 2x4s on those trees out there and like all this kind of stuff to like, it's been there for a while because I'm pretty sure it was a Trump 2020 sign, and I'm sure it's still there, but it was there for quite a while afterwards. And just like all the effort that he went through, or on Highway 26, like going towards, like, I mean, there's like, people might know this highway. It goes across, you know, part of the state of Washington, and it's like pretty fucking rural out there. Like there ain't nothing for long stretches. It's can be very dull, and the towns that are there are very small, and big old Trump signs. Oh, the one sign that I saw on Highway 26 made me laugh so much. Hey, NFL, we don't kneel for the whatever national anthem. It's like, who the fuck are you talking to? That was up there last time I was there.
Yeah.
That was like months ago.
In case anyone from the NFL is driving by. Yeah. It's like maybe you point it upward in case one of the executives is flying by in their helicopter over the Palouse.
Yeah, for some reason. Yeah, I think
Suck my dick, government.
But okay, so
well, I was going to say
socialist bike
something.
lanes.
Yeah, about the bike lanes too. Is in the Tri-Cities. There should be, if that's satire, you have to be careful. Not only because of people are ignorant, but also because people in the Tri-Cities. I'm going to say this. This is not body shaming. They're fat. You know, like I remember Mom coming back from Vegas one time and was like, "Whoa, it's different than down in Vegas." You know, people are like, because people don't walk. Like, it's very like it is car centric. There is not even a bus you're gonna walk to. Like, it's just,
and it's older.
It's
an older demographic here.
Older. You have a lot of
sedentary.
Just like, yes. There,
Yep.
I mean, like maybe the food options you have and just different kind of living, maybe a lot of these, like white people and how they eat and all this kind of crap and whatever is like, it's kind of it's a rotund population. No, so you need to
Tri-Cities, Washington, the San Antonio of the Northwest.
Yeah, you need to like be careful about like joking about people not exercising in the Tri-Cities because they need it. Like, no offense, but
that's true.
Hey, that's what happens when you don't have opportunities to walk around. Genuinely, though, so
maybe that's true. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We don't have a meth problem. We've got a meth solution.
Yeah,
and people aren't picking it up.
That's what I'm saying. It's not enough of a problem there.
Everyone's just waddling around the Tri-Cities. Like,
it was worse than the Chinese food I ate, which I already had diarrhea twice from.
Except it's all Mexican food.
Yeah.
Actually, I had some really good Thai food here recently.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I'm always eating food around here. You're right. I'm going to blame the setting that I'm in. That's
and you
why
drove
I'm
to get all
overweight.
that food. That's why.
No, I have it delivered. No.
Yeah.
So let's see. We're talking about women running the country instead of all these guys want alpha males to run the country. That's what the problem is. Men should be running the country. I wish women ran the country. If men are the ones running the country, if that's what's actually happening, okay, let the women do it. And then us men can just sit at home and beat off all day.
Yeah, that's what you guys want to do.
That's what I was thinking. It's like, what? Is that what? Are we the ones doing it? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Let's give that up. What are you talking about? Make the women do it. I don't want to fucking
about
do
it
this.
anyways. Yeah.
Life's short. I don't want to.
I could jerk off way more if I didn't have a job.
God, I'm gonna play video games. You're crazy.
Yeah. I agree.
So what if I had a son and I named him Albert Einstein Morgan? I don't know why I wrote that in here. That's right.
That would be funny for a while.
But also Albert Homer Simpson Einstein Morgan. But let's see. One thing that you had sent. So we talked about a while back about these parents. What the hell? That were so upset about their kids coming back from college woke. They were woke, and they needed to be deprogrammed. Their kids were brainwashed at school, and they seeked deprogrammers, right?
Yes.
So, oh wait, is this a different one? Okay.
So are you doing the follow-up? Because there's a follow-up article on that.
Yeah, there's the follow-up. Is this the follow-up, or is this the... Oh, maybe this one's the original. Do you have the follow-up?
I can find it.
Might have the original.
That's what you're talking about. The one with what's her like talking about that girl and
Beth
her mom.
Penske. Yeah, 54-year-old single mother from New Jersey who now lives in Florida never tells anyone that she's estranged from her only son and daughter.
That's the follow-up.
I lie all the time, said Penske, who told the Post her kids have rejected her because they're woke, and she is not. I can't tell anyone I don't have a relationship with them. I had so much shame about it. It looks awful for me. It makes me feel terrible, so I lie. Yeah, well, I mean, it makes sense.
Yes.
But, that's right. But her attitude
Mm-hmm.
changed when she read a Post story in November about Annabella Rockwell. Okay, I do recognize that name. That's right. Graduate of Mount Holyoke who claimed she'd been totally indoctrinated into hard-left ideologies at the school and had to be deprogrammed. I realized I wasn't alone. I saw what happened to her was so similar to what I think happened to my kids. I never even considered trying to find a deprogrammer. I didn't know they existed, but I think it's too late for me and my kids. They won't even talk to me. A Manhattan mother of 5 daughters told the Post. What's that?
I can't believe she did an interview saying stuff like this.
Yeah. My kids won't talk to me, New York Post. Maybe they'll read this.
It's too late.
They're woke enough to read about me in the New York Post. Yeah. Oh, my God. I'm a fucking loser. Please.
Everybody's telling us to stop doing what we're trying to do.
Let's see. Manhattan mother of 5 daughters told the Post she saw their indoctrination into gender and race ideology start at Dalton, one of New York City's poshest private academies, and worsen when her girls went to colleges. Most of them went to Ivy League schools. Well, fucking la-dee-da. You have 5 daughters. Most of them went to Ivy League schools, and you're sitting here fucking complaining. The emotional stress is unbelievable, said the mother. You already sound woke.
Emotional stress? What are you, some sort of fucking snowflake?
Yeah. Who did not want to be publicly identified. Oh, yeah. No, she is. I consider myself a Democrat and a liberal, but it doesn't matter. I've had fights with some of my girls just because I wouldn't get myself a Rainbow Pride Starbucks cup. Yeah, fucking right, dude. Yeah, right. And now you're being interviewed by the New York Post.
Yeah.
I'm so sure.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
You what?
I don't think so.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Yeah.
You what?
No.
Nice.
Oh, let's see. Gosh, God, I hate this website.
The New York Post?
I mean, I love this website,
Oh
but
my
I hate
God,
this website
their articles
so much.
and
Yeah,
the way that they
they're
do
the worst.
It does not look like journalism. So at
the
least they're like
banners flip down all the time.
At least they
Oh
don't
my
try to
God.
pretend that they're like a serious organization. Like the way that you just like get on their site, you're like, oh, this is like, am I gonna get a virus?
Yeah, exactly. And I have an ad blocker running when I'm on it too, and it's still horrible. Yeah, let's see. The cup itself became this huge battleground. Apparently, it matters what cup you hold, and it's like just racing through my head. It's like, oh man, if only I could be a fly on the wall. There's so much there. There's so much there.
What
it
really
is not
happened
the
in
cup.
that conversation?
Yeah.
It's probably something like, why do they have to
Exactly.
have this here? And it'd be like, what, Mom? Like, like something like that.
Yeah.
Or
You
whatever.
started it 100%.
And if your daughters are that much of like bitches where they're like seriously like berating
like-
you for like not for being like,
Yeah.
Mom, you're so awful, you did a bad job raising them, so that's also on you.
Yeah.
So sorry.
True.
This is all on
they're,
you, babe.
They're total cunts
Yeah.
that went to like a posh private school and went to Ivy League, and they're snooty assholes. And you're like, oh, I'm a Democrat and a liberal, and now my daughters are bitches. Well, okay.
Apple doesn't
Fuck
fall
off.
far from the
we
tree.
don't want to hear
don't know
from
if
you.
ever
I
heard that.
don't care
Yeah.
at all. Go back to your manor. I do not care. But we would actually be estranged if it weren't for me not giving up, the mother told the Post. I keep coming back to the battlefield. I wanted a deprogrammer but didn't know where to get one, so I tried to do it myself. Oh, God. Let's see. Oh boy, this is getting worse and worse. Kay Yang, 36, a former activist for trans and gay rights in upstate New York, at one point identified with they/them pronouns.
Oh,
no! But she said she deprogrammed herself before becoming a full-time deprogrammer in 2018 and is now busier than ever. So, in other words, is a grifting entrepreneur. Very good. Good for them. Or her. Sorry.
Yeah, jeez.
I was just trying to remember who it was. Yeah. In addition to her website, Stop Female Erasure. Oh, my God. Total grifter. Sorry. It's like I see people like you all the time on Twitter. Well, not as much lately. Because I'm trying to stay off. Okay.
You've been doing pretty good.
For the most part.
It's hard to go cold turkey.
Yeah.
Cold turkey.
Yang has a website called The Deprogrammer and runs a YouTube account under the handle The Deprogrammer and works with parents and their children individually. Hey, you should look up The Deprogrammer and see what the website's like and see if it's just a big grifting scam. Yang often leads anti-gender ideology protests at gender clinics and prisons, as well as at the National Monument in Washington, D.C. Oh, my God. Okay. A lot of these parents are completely bewildered. Okay. A lot of them noticed a marked difference in their children's behavior. Then all of a sudden, she identifies as he. Oh, yeah, I'm sure it's all of a sudden.
That's what happens, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's all of a sudden. Maybe that can happen sometimes, but I really feel like if it's all of a sudden, if there were no signs and your child never came to you, there are some underlying issues here. Not with your child's gender, but with your relationship with your child. You know, they can't come to you and discuss their deeply held personal issues, you know?
Yeah.
Like, or you can't pierce any sort of outer thing like, sometimes you just can't do it. Some people aren't good at it, but it's like, damn, that sucks that you could not figure that out. You know, you couldn't be like, yeah, you know what? I kind of saw some signs that you were a little different, you know, or that you had a taste for you were a little feminine, or you were a little masculine, or you know, whatever it might be. It's like to be completely blindsided is kind of telling, in my opinion. But
I would say that too. That it's like you never noticed that they seemed like different or whatever kind of words you want to use. But I would say like deeply unhappy, like that your child never seemed like you never got a single hint that they just seemed like they just weren't like having a good time. Yeah, like that they just were like, I feel like as a parent, you're able to
content to be themselves.
Yeah, like you can kind of get a feel of like, I don't know, something's like seems like maybe it's on their mind or something is just like, I'm not really sure. Yeah. Like if you ever gave a shit, even one single thought about your child as their own person, maybe, and not just like this thing that you're molding, like they are their own conscious being outside of, it's like you're their parent. Sure, that's important, but they are someone else. They are not you. They're, if you want to think about that, they're just different than you.
They're one of your 5 daughters that you put through private school and put into an Ivy League school, and you consider yourself a liberal Democrat.
I want you to open up your text.
It's like, it's literally all about appearances. You don't give a shit about their lives. Or who they are as human beings.
Oh, it's not sending because my internet's really slow. But I want you to say that's
okay.
Oh my God!
So Natalie just sent me just a picture.
That's the homepage.
Female-created independent media, The Deprogrammer, exposing the trans agenda. Mm-hmm. Watch free original documentaries. There's a war for our bodies and minds, and it's all connected. Oh my God, this is...
How does this person define the trans agenda?
Sociopathy.
Yeah.
My goodness. Oh. But, well put together, I guess. Ooh, 2023 masterclass with Kay Yang, right up at the top.
Yeah.
I guess they haven't been keeping up with this thing. I just went to scroll down on a photo you sent me. But let's see. So Tennessee-born Ted Patrick, now 92, was well known and often controversial in the 1970s and 1980s as the father of deprogramming. He helped hundreds of parents deprogram their children after getting them out of cults like the Moonies, the Hare Krishnas, and the Children of God. He got into the work, he said, because his own son had joined a cult. The problem, he told the Washington Post in 1979, was naivete. The college-educated ignorant, Patrick called them. So let's see. Ted Patrick, American author. Okay. American deprogrammer, the father of deprogramming. The Cult Awareness Network is what he founded. That's very, very cool. People who wanted family member. It just reminds me of, oh my goodness. Just reminds me of, The Simpsons, in, Bart's Heir, I believe. Nope. I'm mixing up two different episodes, but yeah, where, one where, the guy says, he can deprogram Bart. Yeah, that's in Bart's Heir. Yeah, and he actually gets the wrong guy, and Hans Moleman gets programmed to be like Bart, but he's like, how do we know you can? How do you know we can get this job done? It's like, well, I did get Paul McCartney out of Wings, and Homer says, "You idiot! He was the best part."
I was like laughing at this website, but I want to say one of the names of the, you can watch these like short documentaries and stuff, the deprogrammer, one of the names is revealing the LGBT pedo connection. So, kind of some really gross.
Of course they are.
Some really gross stuff.
No, it's.
I mean, of course, obviously, and I'm just kind of like making fun of it, and then getting down to that, I'm like,
craziness,
fucking disgusting. Like,
yeah,
so
it's turf nonsense. Yeah, let's see. So it mentions that Ted Patrick was often controversial right here in like the introduction on his Wikipedia page. Patrick's methods frequently involved abduction and forced confinement, which led to him facing multiple criminal charges and civil proceedings. He was eventually convicted of a number of crimes, including kidnapping, false imprisonment, and conspiracy. So that's one thing to consider.
That is one thing to consider.
The father of deprogramming. So, just so you know. We'll listen to him when he's talking about the college-educated ignorant. That's how they got these kids into these cults, because they don't know better. Exclamation point. Patrick said at the time. They haven't seen the hardcore life! Exclamation point. This 92-year-old man. Man, I grew up with my daddy running numbers in the bootlegger in the apartment downstairs. Okay. Okay, all right,
you want
go to bed.
People to do that, or what is your point here? Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, he claims to have deprogrammed more than 2,600 people in his career. It's worse now than it was then, Patrick said of the 1970s. But parents are more scared and weak than they were then. You've got to get these kids alone. Oh my God. I've snatched people from Yale. Oh. I deal with the mind. You have to go into the mind, into that container, and bring the real person out. Once you get the person out, you have to get the person thinking again, thinking like a critical thinker. Yeah, I'm sure that they didn't learn any of that in college.
Yeah. That's the kind of stuff you learn bootlegging with your daddy. Yeah.
Let's see. Another mother recognized her near estrangement from her daughter after reading the Post story. The two had long been close, but her daughter went to a college out west and began taking gender studies and women's studies, and everything changed. Reading about Annabella was the first time I connected the dots to everything that had happened with my daughter. Gosh, advertisement. They'd been estranged off and on since her daughter's sophomore year in college. With the young woman once returning to go to Thanksgiving dinner with the family. Once refusing to go to Thanksgiving dinner with the family because she said they were celebrating, quote, Columbus's genocide. Yep. She had what they called an awakening and became very angry at me and her father, Dorothy said. It was a big personality change. We are conservatives, so political leanings became a huge problem. Mm-hmm. We were not allowed to visit her on campus. She went on a mission to convert her brother against us. She told him that he should be against us because we were conservatives and that we should all be that we all should be against men. Okay.
I feel like the thing about these stupid parents is like, guys, these are like still like teenage kids sometimes. Like they went to college, they're a freshman in college or a sophomore. They're like 19, 20 years old. I don't know if you ever met some of these motherfuckers, but you know, their hearts are in the right place, but often they're kind of dramatic. They're a little bit immature and all this kind of stuff. So maybe when your child is saying you're celebrating Columbus's genocide, which it is hard to ignore that fact. It's pretty disgusting the more you learn about it, especially if you like barely learn about how like Humberto and I are like, some things are of the times, and then there are some people who even for those times were awful. Columbus, one of them. Oh, yeah. He's just like a horrible monster, like truly a monster. But then it's like
it's kind of funny though. You can just what Thanksgiving,
but you can either. But it is like about the genocide. I mean, you can't think about it now. Once you think about colonization of North America and like what happened, down the road. You're talking the Trail of Tears and you're talking all these things, but it's like just be like, sorry, honey, like you don't have to like freak out. And then I'm sure that if she was like that, I bet that they were very combative back, arguing with their younger child instead of. You know who could be the adult here? Is the person with the fully formed frontal lobe, supposedly, which is the grown-up. Kids
what? They're conservatives.
That's what I'm saying, supposedly. But, you could just, like, be calm because, not like I'm saying she's wrong to be upset about, colonization or anything like that. And it can come, especially as a shock to an upper, like, class sort of person, because if you go through the American school system, a lot of these things, maybe if you're very privileged, you're not really like thinking about, you're like the American history that you're taught and all this kind of crap. But she's like young, like it was on you guys to not freak the fuck out back. And you did. Yeah. You took the bait.
Yeah. And there was and that was a fork in the road. And it's like you could have,
And it could have been a fork in the turkey.
It was kind of up to you, to keep, massaging that back. Otherwise, 7 years later, things would have looked different. Yeah. Now that she's 27, you wouldn't be so estranged. But, like, I mean, you have your views that you still stand by because next sentence, the mom says, what really scares me is that it reminds me of the Cultural Revolution in China. Where there were a whole lost generation of kids who hated their parents. So, I mean, she knows about her communist stuff. But, Yang, I mean, you're on Yang's website. Her own family escaped China during the Cultural Revolution led by Mao and his Red Guards, but she still fell for what she said are similar indoctrination methods taking place in the U.S.
Yeah,
she began her career as a trans activist at a gender center in upstate New York, she said. Part of her work involved visiting local businesses, doctors, and even bars to offer free cultural competency training to educate employees on gender ideology. She and her co-workers also brought what she says she now believes was propaganda about gender into high schools and junior highs in the region. What is she talking about? Who does that? I'm sorry. You take one look at that website I refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe that's a true story. And especially, it's long enough ago that there's no way to verify that. There's no way. No one's going back. The New York Post isn't going to verify that. There's no link to any of this in here.
Yeah.
They're not going back and calling any of these bars or any of these local businesses or doctors' offices that supposedly she visited to give gender competency training to. Mm-hmm. Didn't happen.
Yeah.
Or high schools? You're fucking right. I thought I was on the cutting edge of promoting rights for gay people. Why would you think that? You were giving gender training. What does that have to do with gay people? You were the one who was a supposed expert. You idiot. You fool. You moron.
Oh my gosh. I feel like, okay, but I could feel like
the cover on here.
This person, the deprogrammer, okay, I have not struggled, feels like a strong word for what I would say I've felt about, I use she, they pronouns, and I have, okay, and so I tried to get off, I wanted to be off birth control for the first time in like my adult life and like have a period and all this and see what it would be like. Being a woman has been like a large part of who I am. Like I've been
we could hear you roar.
I mean, like, I've been a feminist, this, women in gender studies in college and all this kind of stuff. I've always been like that. It's been very important to me.
You what?
Exactly. And it felt very strange to realize that I didn't want some of these things, like that I didn't maybe identify as much, or it wasn't as important to me to be like a woman, or like, I'm like, I don't want a period. Like it's giving me like gender dysmorphia or whatever. Or I could get a sense of what sort of people could maybe like way more than I could ever understand, but I could imagine how it could feel very strange for someone to feel like this does not feel right for me. I don't like this. And it was like I felt a little bit guilty about it, honestly, about like kind of like not being like so like a woman. Like I felt like betraying my people, like these people who have especially, been subjugated and, oppressed and all these things. It felt like I was like turning my back on my community that meant a lot to me, and like who I was. And it was like an interesting thing to like go through and be like, but that's okay that doesn't like feel like me anymore. That's okay, that I don't want to identify that way. I don't it's not because this whole thing is about like
okay. You
woman,
need to be deprogrammed.
They
I'm
need
sorry.
to be.
I'm taking you to this 94-year-old man.
They're like, about like the erasure of women and all this kind of stuff, because it does feel like I could see why women would feel like territorial almost, like no, like we fought really hard to even be seen like this, and I am not even close to a TERF, and I'm not apologizing. I'm not a TERF apologist at all. But I can see how people who are not very good at thinking could come to those conclusions about like keeping trans women out of these spaces and stuff, and feeling like very, very, very defensive about it, because it feels like hard-fought gains, that have been made for women over the course of, especially like these last like 40 years and 50 years, whatever. The things that other women in the past have.
Same thing with those like transphobic and biphobic gay people.
Yes,
they can be like that.
Absolutely,
especially like white gay people. Yeah,
man, they hate those bisexuals. But I'll tell you what. But also, it does not justify it. Like, this is disgusting, like this website and stuff. But I mean, that's like someone who doesn't like take this and just be like, no, it's okay that people feel differently, and that we're like evolving like as a culture to understand gender and the meaning of it and what it means to be like a feminist, or what it means to be a woman, and all these kinds of things. Like, we can learn more about
at the end of the day, we made all of it up.
We're all just trying to understand, and it's like made up and changed, and depending on where you are and like what you're calling and what it means to who and to where and to what all these different things. There's so many different like variables that can change. I mean, over the course of time, obviously there's been a lot of different changes to gender and what it means to be like what it means like to be a woman or a man, where you are in the world 40,000 years ago. I don't know. Humans were around long time.
You don't
I'm not
know?
talking about. I do know, actually.
Oh my God! Why would we even have you on this show?
Well, that's what
you don't know.
They're like Ayla, and they're like, I don't know. I'm just like skinning animals.
So thoughtful.
Well, I'll just say, you can see what kind of mindset that this Yang gal has.
Yang Gang. That's what she should call her.
Because supposedly, with this supposed stuff that she was pushing from her gender center when she's like,
This is propaganda.
and she's like, I'm here to teach you stuff, and this here that I've got,
This is propaganda.
and I'm going to teach it to you. She said, when you really dig down, you could see how much of this stuff comes from documents and plans at the United Nations. Referring to the Gender Equality Initiative. It's part of a global agenda to restructure society, restructure our social norms and the economy. They are undermining the sexually dimorphic nature of reality and breaking down the differences between the sexes to break down our identity. They are constructing identities for us and they want us to adopt them. All right, goodbye. Yeah. Yep, that's right. The UN is restructuring society, social norms, and the economy with gender propaganda. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like,
just include that quote when someone wants to learn about you and the work that you do, and they're like, oh my gosh, my kids won't talk to me anymore. What can I do? They hear about you. Someone should just present them with that quote and the home page for your website next to each other so that they know to never interact with you. Ever.
yeah.
Because
it's bad for your mental
that's
health.
ludicrous.
Yeah.
It's loony. You're loony.
And it's
Tune.
just like so.
And I feel bad for you.
Yeah. The language changing to like calling people like people instead of like man or woman or whatever is supposed to be inclusive, which was the problem from the beginning, why feminism and these other things like exist, because they were excluded, you know, like from these spaces, from whatever space you're talking about, you know, like, I mean, think of one and that's what it is. Like, it's supposed to be, so this is for everybody, because first and foremost, we're not men or women or male or female or gay or whatever. We're humans. Like, that's like what
it's all the human
like,
race,
yes,
man.
the point is supposed to be like we're all like worthy and deserving of like living our lives. So, I mean, it feels like some of these, well, you know, people like this, you know, some of these effeminate, whatever you want to call these people. I don't know what you want to call them. But it is like a great example of like divisions among like sort of like oppression Olympics sort of thing where that really divides people. And it's like, you're not really gonna like, you're not really helping anybody. Actually, you're kind of like hurting a lot of any kind of progress that we could be having. Because like, honestly, some of your like, you know, some of this like the way your website looks and stuff, if you put in this effort to like an actual cause that made sense, I feel like you could do some good. But kind of looks nice. Like sure. You know, you could like it's too bad that you're like, I don't know what's wrong with your brain. You're just smart in
like
a different
InfoWars,
you're just smart in a different
like,
way that's not thinking about
why couldn't
things.
you do this for something that wasn't crazy? You know?
Yeah. It wasn't so
it's
serious.
Like, look at all this. Look at all this stuff you did. Well, anyway, that's enough talk about anything but the election.
Get him the out of here! I'm sorry. I'm not kidding me. We're not gonna do the whole thing. We'll cancel the whole show.
But we'll see where we're standing. You know, in the next episode, whether we look at Natalie and we just say,
well, there's no question about it that she deserves life term in prison, if not more. And by more, I mean execution. For treason.
But, you know, Whether we'll have our first, speaking of, the thing that these goddamn Democrats just, for whatever bewildering reason, have just not focused on, whether we'll have our first woman president, for God's sake, or if we'll all just wake up and think,
suicide is badass.
No. Okay. I love you.
Love you too. Shout out to every single person listening. Especially...
That was a really nice one. Thanks, Inane Blather.
Especially you.
Yeah. For election coverage, just watch R.M. Brown on the Majority Report cover election stuff. Whenever you're listening to this, it probably already happened. And it'll probably still be up, so you can just go back in time and watch it.
Yeah. Use your time machine.
Yeah.
That time machine alone's put me back 10 years. If only it had worked, you could go back and not waste your time on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Wingus, dingus, listen up.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, love you.
Love you, bye.